The sound of poker chips hitting the table echoed through Emma Carter's mind as she stared at the empty lockbox on her kitchen table. And in that moment, everything she thought she knew about her life shattered like dropped china. Her hands trembled as she held the crumpled IOU notes, all signed by Thomas Bennett, her fiancé of 2 years. $3,000. Gone. Every cent they had saved for their future, their ranch, their life together, vanished into the smoke-filled gambling dens of Empire City, Nevada. It was September 1883, and the autumn sun cast long shadows through the windows of the small house she rented on the edge of town. Emma had been 23 when she met Thomas, a charming businessman who promised her the world. Now, at 25, she felt like a fool. The wedding was supposed to be in 3 weeks. The dress hung in her bedroom, a cruel reminder of dreams built on lies. "Emma, darling, I can explain," Thomas had said earlier that morning when she confronted him. His face was flushed, his collar loosened. He smelled of whiskey and desperation. "Explain what? That you gambled away our entire savings, that everything we worked for is gone." Her voice had cracked, tears streaming down her face. "It was an investment. I was going to win it all back, double even. I just had a string of bad luck." His excuses were hollow, his eyes unable to meet hers. "Bad luck, Thomas, that money was for our ranch, for our future, for us. I will fix this, I promise, just give me time." But Emma had heard enough promises. She had worked 6 days a week at the general store for 3 years, saving every spare penny. Her mother's inheritance, the only thing left after her parents died of fever, had been in that lockbox too. All of it gone. "Get out," she had said quietly. "Emma, please. Get out." The words had torn from her throat like a scream. Thomas had left, his shoulders hunched, and Emma had not seen him since. That had been 5 hours ago. Now, as the sun began to set, Emma sat at her table, staring at the ruins of her life. She had no savings, no future husband, and rent was due in 2 weeks. The small salary from the general store would barely cover her basic needs. The ranch they had planned, the life she had dreamed of, all of it was impossible now. A knock at the door startled her from her thoughts. She wiped her eyes quickly, smoothing her skirt as she stood. When she opened the door, she found herself looking at a tall man with dark hair and the most striking gray eyes she had ever seen. He held his hat in his hands, his weathered face kind but concerned. "Miss Carter, I am Zachary Irwin. I work the Triple Bar Ranch just outside town. Your neighbor, Mrs. Henderson, mentioned you might need some help." Emma felt her cheeks burn with embarrassment. Of course the whole town would know by now. In a place like Empire City, secrets traveled faster than telegraph messages. "I appreciate your concern, Mr. Irwin, but I am fine." "With respect, madam, you do not look fine." His voice was gentle, lacking any judgment. "Mrs. Henderson said your fiancé took your savings. That is a hard blow for anyone." The kindness in his voice broke something inside her. Fresh tears spilled down her cheeks before she could stop them. "I am sorry. I do not usually cry in front of strangers. No need to apologize. May I come in? I promise I mean no harm. I just want to help if I can." Something about his steady gaze and calm demeanor made Emma step aside. Zachary entered, his boots clean despite the dusty streets. He was a working man, she could tell from his calloused hands and sun-darkened skin, but he carried himself with dignity. "Please, sit down," Emma said, gesturing to the table. She quickly hid the IOU notes, though it hardly mattered now. Zachary sat, placing his hat on the table. How much did he take? The question was direct but not harsh. $3,000, everything I had, everything we had. The words tasted bitter. Zachary let out a low whistle. "That is a considerable sum. I am sorry, Miss Carter. No woman deserves that kind of betrayal." I should have seen it coming. There were signs. He would come home late smelling of cards and whiskey. He always had an excuse, a story. I wanted to believe him. Emma sat down across from Zachary, exhausted. Wanting to trust someone you love is not a weakness. He is the one who failed, not you. Those simple words meant more to Emma than any flowery speech could have. Thank you for saying that. I mean it. Now, what are you going to do? Emma laughed, but there was no humor in it. I honestly do not know. Keep working at the store, I suppose. Try to rebuild what I lost. Cancel the wedding. Sell the dress. Each item on the list felt like another weight on her chest. Have you eaten today? The question surprised her. I had coffee this morning. That is not eating. Come on, let me take you to the hotel dining room. A good meal might help you think more clearly. Emma hesitated. She barely knew this man, yet something about him felt safe. I cannot afford the hotel right now. My treat. Consider it a welcome from a concerned citizen of Empire City. Zachary stood, offering his hand. Besides, sitting here alone with your thoughts will only make things worse. He was right. Emma took his hand, feeling the strength and warmth in his grip. They walked through town together as the evening lights began to glow in windows. People stared, and Emma could hear the whispers, but Zachary walked beside her with his head high, as if daring anyone to say something unkind. The hotel dining room was modest but clean, with red checkered tablecloths and the smell of roasted meat filling the air. Zachary ordered 2 steaks with potatoes and coffee. As they waited, he told her about himself. I am originally from Texas. Came out here 5 years ago looking for work. I am 28 now, been working ranches since I was 16. The Triple Bar is a good operation, fair owners, steady pay. I have a small cabin on the property and manage the cattle drives. He spoke easily, not boasting, just sharing his life. That sounds like honest work, Emma said. It is. Hard but honest. What about you? You are not from Nevada originally, are you? Your accent has a touch of the East. Pennsylvania. My parents brought me here when I was 18, hoping the dry climate would help my father's lungs. It did not work. They both passed within a year of arriving. I stayed because I had nowhere else to go. The memories still hurt, but time had dulled the sharp edges of grief. I am sorry. Losing your parents and then having this happen with your fiancé, you have had more than your share of hardship. The food arrived, and Emma realized she was famished. The steak was tender, cooked perfectly, and the potatoes were rich with butter. For a few minutes they ate in comfortable silence. Can I ask you something? Emma said finally. Of course. Why are you helping me? You do not know me. Zachary set down his fork, his gray eyes meeting hers. Because when I first came to Empire City, I was broke and desperate. A rancher named John Irving gave me a chance when no one else would. He fed me, gave me work, taught me about cattle and honor. He died 2 years ago, and I have tried to live the way he did, helping folks when I can. You need help, and I can offer it. Simple as that. Emma felt something warm spread through her chest, something she had not felt in a long time. Hope. You are a good man, Zachary Irwin. I try to be. Now, let us figure out what you are going to do next. They spent the next hour discussing Emma's options. Zachary suggested she report Thomas to the sheriff, though they both knew the chances of recovering the money were slim. Gambling debts were common, and unless Thomas had stolen the money through fraud, the law would likely do nothing. What about work? Zachary asked. The general store pays you enough to live on. Barely. $8 a week. My rent is $12 a month plus food and necessities. There is not much left over. The Triple Bar is looking for a cook. The current one is moving back east to be with her daughter. It pays $15 a week, plus room and board. You would have your own small house on the property. Are you a good cook? Emma's heart raced. $15 a week with no rent. It would be a fresh start, away from town and the gossip, away from Thomas. I am a decent cook. My mother taught me well. Then I will talk to the owners, the Morrison family. They are good people. I think you would like it there. Why are you doing all this for me? Emma asked again, unable to understand this stranger's kindness. Zachary was quiet for a moment, his fingers tracing the rim of his coffee cup. Because I know what it feels like to lose everything, and because no one should face that alone. When Zachary walked Emma home that night, the streets were quiet except for the distant sound of piano music from the saloons. At her door, he tipped his hat. I will ride out to the ranch tomorrow and speak to the Morrisons. Can you meet me here at 2 in the afternoon the day after tomorrow? If they agree, I can take you out to meet them. Yes, I will be here. Thank you, Zachary, for everything. He smiled, and Emma noticed how it transformed his face, making him look younger, less weary. Get some rest, Miss Carter. Things will look better in the morning. But things did not look better in the morning. When Emma arrived at the general store, her employer, Mr. Hendricks, was waiting with a grim expression. Miss Carter, I am afraid I have to let you go. Emma felt the floor tilt beneath her. What? Why? Your fiancé, Mr. Bennett, he owes money all over town. People are saying you might be in on it, that you might have helped him. I cannot have that kind of association with my store. I am sorry, but I have to think of my business. That is not fair. I had nothing to do with his gambling. He stole from me too. I believe you, Emma, I do. But perception matters in business. I am sorry. Hendricks handed her an envelope with her final pay. This covers through yesterday. Emma stood on the boardwalk outside the store, clutching the envelope, feeling numb. In 2 days, she had lost her savings, her fiancé, and now her job. If not for Zachary's offer, she would have been completely destitute. She went to the sheriff's office and filed a report about Thomas. But as Zachary had predicted, Sheriff Coleman offered little hope. Unless you can prove he stole it rather than you giving him access to the money, there is not much I can do, Miss Carter. I will talk to him, but gambling debts are civil matters, not criminal. Emma left the office feeling defeated. She spent the rest of the day packing her few belongings, preparing for whatever came next. That evening there was another knock on her door. When she opened it, Thomas stood there, disheveled and desperate. Emma, please let me explain. There is nothing to explain. You stole our future, Thomas. You lied to me. I made mistakes, I know, but I love you. We can start over. I will get the money back, I swear. How? By gambling more, by stealing from someone else. Emma felt anger rising, hot and fierce. You cost me my job today, did you know that? Mr. Hendricks fired me because of your debts. People think I was part of your schemes. Thomas's face paled. I did not mean for that to happen. You never mean for anything to happen, Thomas, but your actions have consequences. I loved you. I trusted you. I gave you everything, and you threw it away for cards and dice. We are done. Do not come back here. Emma, please. If you ever cared about me at all, you will leave me alone. Go fix your life, but leave me out of it. She closed the door in his face and locked it, her hands shaking. 2 days later, Emma stood outside her house at 2 in the afternoon, her small trunk beside her. She had sold what furniture she could not take and paid Mrs. Henderson next door to store the rest. When Zachary arrived with a wagon, his smile was genuine and warm. Good news. The Morrisons want to meet you. From what I told them, they are very interested. The ride to the Triple Bar Ranch took an hour. The landscape was beautiful in its harsh way, with sagebrush covering the rolling hills and mountains rising in the distance. Zachary talked during the journey, pointing out landmarks and telling stories about the ranch. The Triple Bar runs about 2,000 head of cattle. The Morrison family has owned it for 15 years. Mr. Thomas Morrison and his wife Ruth are fair employers. They have 3 sons who help run the operation. You will be cooking mainly for the ranch hands, about 12 men total, plus the family sometimes. That is a lot of cooking, Emma said, feeling nervous. You will have help. There is a young woman named Sally who assists in the kitchen. She is 16 and still learning, but she is a hard worker. The ranch house came into view, a large 2-story building with a wraparound porch. Several smaller structures surrounded it, including bunkhouses, barns, and what Zachary pointed out would be Emma's house if she got the job. A small but neat cabin with a stone chimney. Ruth Morrison was a stout woman in her 50s with kind eyes and capable hands. She invited Emma into the ranch house kitchen and immediately began asking questions about her cooking experience, her knowledge of different dishes, her ability to work long hours. Emma answered honestly, and Ruth seemed satisfied. The last cook we had was with us for 10 years. She was like family. We need someone reliable, someone who will take pride in feeding our people good, hearty meals. Mr. Irwin spoke highly of you, and I trust his judgment. When can you start? Emma could hardly believe her luck. Immediately, if you need me. Perfect. The pay is $15 a week, paid every Saturday. Room and board included. You will have Sundays off after breakfast cleanup. Does that sound agreeable? More than agreeable, Mrs. Morrison. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank Zachary. He is the one who vouched for you. Ruth smiled warmly. Now let me show you to your cabin. The cabin was small but comfortable, with a bed, a wood stove, a table with 2 chairs, and several shelves. It was more than Emma had hoped for. As Ruth left her to settle in, Zachary appeared at the door. What do you think? I think you might have saved my life. Emma's eyes were bright with grateful tears. You saved your own life by being willing to start over. I just pointed you in the right direction. Zachary leaned against the doorframe, his hat in his hands. If you need anything, my cabin is just over that ridge. Do not hesitate to ask. Over the following weeks, Emma threw herself into her new role. She woke before dawn to prepare breakfast for the ranch hands, hearty meals of eggs, bacon, biscuits, and coffee. Lunch was usually sandwiches and soup, and dinner was the main event with roasts, stews, and pies. Sally proved to be a quick learner and good company, chattering about her family in town and her dreams of one day opening a restaurant. The ranch hands were respectful, thanking Emma for each meal and complimenting her cooking. She learned their names and preferences, making each man's favorite dish at least once a week. The work was hard, much harder than the general store, but Emma found satisfaction in it. She was building something again, creating a new life from the ashes of the old. Zachary often stopped by the kitchen, ostensibly to check on supplies or ask about meal times. But Emma began to notice he came by more often than necessary. They would talk while she worked, and Emma found herself looking forward to those visits. He told her about his day, about the cattle and the land, and she shared stories from her childhood, happy memories of her parents. One evening, about a month after Emma started at the ranch, Zachary invited her to take a walk after dinner cleanup. The autumn air was cool and pleasant, and the stars were beginning to emerge in the darkening sky. You have settled in well, Zachary said as they walked along a path that led to a small creek. Everyone loves your cooking. I enjoy it. It feels good to be useful, to be building something again. Have you heard from Thomas? Emma shook her head. No, and I am glad. I do not want to see him or hear from him ever again. Good. You deserve better than him. Zachary stopped by the creek where the water reflected the first stars. Emma, I have to tell you something, and I hope it does not make things awkward between us. Her heart began to race. What is it? I care about you. More than I should, probably, given everything you have been through, but I cannot help it. From the first moment I saw you standing in that doorway with tears on your face, something in me knew you were special. I am not asking for anything. I just needed you to know." Emma looked at his face, so earnest and open, and felt something shift inside her. Over the past month, she had come to appreciate Zachary's steady presence, his kindness, his quiet strength. He was everything Thomas was not: honest, dependable, real. "I care about you too," she said softly. "I did not want to. After Thomas, I thought I would never trust a man again. But you are different, Zachary. You are a real man, not just someone playing at it." Zachary's smile was like sunrise. "Can I court you properly? Take you to dances in town, maybe a picnic on your day off?" "I would like that very much." He took her hand, and they stood by the creek as the stars multiplied overhead. Emma felt something she had not felt in months: peace, hope, the possibility of real happiness. Their courtship unfolded slowly and sweetly. On Sundays, Zachary would take Emma into town for church, and afterward they would walk through the market or have lunch at the hotel. He never pushed her, never demanded more than she was ready to give. They talked about everything: their pasts, their dreams, their fears. Emma learned that Zachary wanted his own ranch someday, a place where he could build something lasting. She told him about her dream of a home filled with love and laughter, children running through rooms filled with sunlight. As November arrived and the weather turned colder, Emma realized she was falling in love. It was different from what she had felt for Thomas. That had been infatuation, a surface attraction to charm and promises. This was deeper, rooted in respect and genuine affection. Zachary made her laugh. He listened when she talked. He showed up day after day, steady and true. One afternoon, as Emma was preparing pies for supper, Zachary came into the kitchen with an unusual expression on his face. He looked nervous, excited, and scared all at once. "Emma, can you take a break? I need to show you something." Curious, Emma wiped her hands on her apron and followed him outside. He led her to the hitching post where 2 horses waited. "We are going for a ride. Trust me, it will be worth it." They rode for about 30 minutes into the hills until they reached a flat plateau overlooking a beautiful valley. A small creek ran through it, and cottonwood trees provided shade. The land was perfect, lush despite the season, with good grazing and water. "This property is for sale," Zachary said, dismounting and helping Emma down. 160 acres. The owner wants $800 for it." Emma's heart sank. "That is a lot of money." "It is. But I have been saving for 5 years. I have $700 put away. I am $50 short of the down payment." He turned to her, his gray eyes intense. "Emma, I know we have only been courting for 2 months, but I knew from the beginning you were the woman I wanted to build a life with. I love you. I love your strength, your kindness, your laugh, everything about you. I want to buy this land and build a ranch here, not just for me, but for us. Will you marry me?" Emma felt tears streaming down her face, but these were tears of joy. "Yes, yes, Zachary, I will marry you." He pulled her into his arms, kissing her with all the pent-up emotion of the past months. When they finally pulled apart, both were breathless and smiling. "I cannot afford a fancy ring right now, not if I am buying this land, but I promise you will have one someday. I do not need a ring. I just need you." Emma looked out over the valley, seeing not just land but their future, their home, their life. They made plans quickly. Zachary spoke to the landowner and negotiated a deal, putting down $650 with the rest to be paid over 3 years. Emma gave him the $100 she had saved from her wages at the ranch, wanting to contribute to their shared dream. They planned to marry in January, giving them time to build a small house on the property before winter became too harsh. The Morrison family was supportive, giving Zachary time off to work on the house and promising to hire Emma back part-time once she was settled, understanding the young couple would need income while building their ranch. The other ranch hands helped with the construction, and by late December, a small but sturdy two-room house stood on the property with a barn for horses and equipment. Emma had written to Thomas's mother, a kind woman who lived in Sacramento, telling her the engagement was off and why. She did not do it to hurt anyone, but because she felt the woman deserved to know what her son had become. The response came in mid-December, a heartfelt letter apologizing for Thomas's actions and wishing Emma every happiness. She also mentioned that Thomas had left town, rumors saying he had gone to San Francisco. Emma felt relief at that news. She never wanted to see him again. On January 15, 1884, Emma Carter became Emma Irwin in a simple ceremony at the church in Empire City. Ruth Morrison stood as her matron of honor, and one of Zachary's fellow ranch hands, a man named Frank Davies, served as best man. The ceremony was small but perfect, with Emma wearing a new dress she had sewn herself, blue calico with white lace at the collar. When Zachary kissed her as his wife, Emma knew she had found what she had been searching for all along. Not just love, but partnership. Not just promises, but action. Not just dreams, but reality being built one day at a time. They spent their first night in their new home, the fire crackling in the hearth, wrapped in each other's arms. "I will spend every day of my life proving you made the right choice," Zachary whispered in the darkness. "You already have," Emma replied, kissing him softly. The first year of marriage was hard work, but filled with joy. They bought 6 cows and a bull with money Zachary had left from his savings, starting their small herd. Emma continued to cook part-time at the Triple Bar 3 days a week, and Zachary worked there the other days while also tending their own growing ranch. They named their property the Lucky Creek Ranch, after the stream that ran through it, and because Zachary said meeting Emma was the luckiest thing that ever happened to him. By their first anniversary, their herd had grown to 15 head, and they had added chickens and pigs. Emma discovered she was pregnant in March of 1885, and Zachary was overjoyed. He spent his evenings building a cradle and a crib, his rough hands creating something beautiful through sheer love and determination. Their son was born in November of 1885, a healthy boy with his father's gray eyes and his mother's dark hair. They named him Matthew Thomas Irwin, the middle name a nod to Zachary's mentor John Thomas Morrison, not Thomas Bennett, a fact Emma was grateful for. Holding her son, Emma marveled at how far she had come from that terrible day when she discovered Thomas's betrayal. The years that followed were full and rich. Matthew grew into a curious, energetic boy who loved the ranch and the animals. In 1888, Emma gave birth to twin girls, Sarah and Rebecca, who inherited their mother's fierce spirit and their father's steady nature. The Lucky Creek Ranch prospered, their herd growing to over 200 head by 1890. One day in the spring of 1891, Emma was hanging laundry when a stranger rode up to the house. Her heart jumped with old fear until she recognized the figure. Thomas Bennett, older and worn-looking, sat on a tired horse. "Emma," he said, dismounting. "I know I have no right to be here." Zachary appeared from the barn, his body tense. "You need to leave." "I will. I just wanted to say something first." Thomas looked at Emma, his eyes full of regret. "I heard you built a good life here. I am glad. I am sorry for what I did to you, for the pain I caused. I ruined the best thing I ever had because I was weak and stupid. I just wanted you to know that and to say I am sorry. I do not expect forgiveness. I just needed you to hear it." Emma looked at this man who had once been her whole world and felt nothing but pity. "I hope you found a better path, Thomas. I truly do. But my life is here now with my husband and my children." "Thank you for the apology, but we are done. Truly done." Thomas nodded, a sad smile on his face. "He is a lucky man, your husband. Take care of yourself, Emma." He mounted his horse and rode away, and Emma knew she would never see him again. Zachary came to stand beside her, his arm around her waist. "You all right? I am perfect. He is just a ghost from the past. You are my present and my future." The children came running from the house, Matthew chasing his sisters with a stick horse, their laughter filling the air. Zachary pulled Emma close, kissing the top of her head. "You know what I realized?" "What?" "That gambling away your savings was the best thing Thomas ever did, because it brought you to me. I found out what he did, and I got the chance to show you what a real man looks like. What real love is." Emma laughed, turning in his arms to kiss him properly. "You did more than show me. You gave me everything I ever dreamed of and more." By the time Emma was 40, in 1898, the Lucky Creek Ranch was one of the most successful small ranches in the area, running over 500 head of cattle. Matthew, at 12, was already a skilled horseman and rancher. The twins, at 10, were fearless and bright, helping their mother with the garden and the chickens while also learning to rope and ride from their father. Emma and Zachary had built more than a ranch. They had built a legacy. On summer evenings, they would sit on their porch, watching the sun set over their land, their children playing in the yard, and Emma would think back to that terrible day when her life fell apart. She would remember the empty lockbox and the IOU notes, the betrayal and the pain. But she would also remember the knock on her door and the gray-eyed cowboy who offered help without expecting anything in return. The man who showed her that real love was not about grand promises, but about showing up every day. About building something together, brick by brick, day by day. "What are you thinking about?" Zachary asked one evening, noticing her reflective expression. "About how grateful I am. For you, for this life, for everything. I am the grateful one. You took a chance on a cowboy with nothing but dreams and calloused hands. You had more than that. You had honor and integrity and love. That is everything." Their children grew and thrived. Matthew took over more responsibilities on the ranch, becoming his father's right hand. The twins, inseparable as always, showed interest in expanding the ranch to include horse breeding, an idea Zachary supported enthusiastically. By 1900, the Lucky Creek Ranch employed 6 ranch hands and had expanded to 1,000 acres through careful purchases of adjoining properties. On their 20th wedding anniversary in January of 1904, Zachary surprised Emma with a gift. It was a gold ring with a small diamond, simple but beautiful. "I promised you a ring someday. It took 20 years, but I keep my promises." Emma slipped it on her finger, tears streaming down her face. "You have given me so much more than a ring. You have given me a life I never dreamed possible." "We built it together," Zachary corrected. "Everything we have, we created side by side." That night, they hosted a celebration at the ranch. The Morrison family came, now elderly but still sharp and kind. Ranch hands past and present attended. The house Emma and Zachary had expanded over the years, adding rooms as their family grew, was filled with laughter and music. Matthew, now a young man of 18, danced with a pretty girl from town. The twins, 16 and beautiful, entertained guests with stories of ranch life. As Emma watched her family and friends celebrate, she thought about the journey that brought her here. The pain of betrayal had seemed insurmountable at the time, but it had led her to something far better than what she had lost. Thomas Bennett, wherever he was, had actually done her a favor, though she doubted he knew it or would take comfort in it. The real gift had been Zachary. A man who saw her at her lowest point and offered kindness without condition, who courted her with respect and patience, who built a life with her based on honesty and hard work, who showed her every single day what a real man looked like. In 1908, Emma became a grandmother when Matthew and his wife Mary welcomed a baby boy they named Zachary after his grandfather. Holding her grandson, Emma felt the circle of life complete. She had lost so much in her youth, but she had gained everything that truly mattered. The Lucky Creek Ranch continued to prosper through the years. When Matthew and his sisters eventually took over the daily operations, Zachary and Emma remained involved but also took time to travel, visiting San Francisco, and even making a trip back to Pennsylvania to see the places of Emma's childhood. On their 30th anniversary in 1914, Emma and Zachary sat on their porch as they had countless times before, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and gold. They were both in their 50s now, their hair touched with gray, their hands marked by years of work. But their love had only deepened with time. "Do you ever think about what your life would have been like if you had married Thomas?" Zachary asked, his hand holding hers. "Sometimes," Emma admitted, "but only to be grateful I did not. He taught me what I did not want. You taught me what real love looked like. You showed me that actions matter more than words, that consistency is more valuable than passion, and that true partnership means building something together. You make me sound like a saint. I am just a cowboy who fell in love with a remarkable woman. You are my cowboy, my partner, my love, the man who saved me and then built a world with me." Emma leaned her head on his shoulder, content and complete. Their children and grandchildren visited often, filling the ranch house with noise and life. Emma taught her granddaughters to cook and sew, passing down recipes and skills. Zachary taught his grandsons to ride and rope, sharing his knowledge of cattle and land. The legacy they had built together would continue long after they were gone. In the quiet moments, Emma would sometimes take out the crumpled IOU notes she had kept all these years, a reminder of where she had been and how far she had come. She would look at Thomas's signature and feel nothing but distant pity for the man who had lost so much through his own weakness. Then she would put the notes away and go find Zachary, usually in the barn or checking the cattle, and she would slip her hand into his. He would smile at her, that same warm smile that had greeted her on her doorstep so many years ago, and she would know she was exactly where she belonged. The Lucky Creek Ranch stood as a testament to what could be built when two people committed to each other completely. When they worked together, sacrificed together, and loved each other through every challenge. Emma had learned that real strength was not in avoiding hardship, but in how you responded to it. That real love was not about grand gestures, but about the small, daily choices to show up and be present. As the years continued to pass, Emma and Zachary grew old together with grace and gratitude. They watched their grandchildren have children of their own, the Lucky Creek Ranch entering its third generation of family ownership. The land they had purchased with their combined savings and dreams had become a thriving legacy that would outlast them both. On a warm September evening in 1925, Emma and Zachary celebrated their 41st wedding anniversary surrounded by 4 generations of family. Emma was 67, and Zachary was 70, both still sharp-minded though their bodies showed the wear of decades of hard work. The house was full of people, laughter, and love. As the sun set and the guests began to leave, Emma and Zachary found themselves alone on the porch once more, the place where they had shared so many quiet moments throughout their marriage. The valley spread out before them, their land, their legacy, their life's work. "Are you happy, Emma?" Zachary asked, though he surely knew the answer. "I am more than happy. I am blessed. You gave me everything, Zachary. You showed me what it meant to be loved by a real man. Not someone who made promises, but someone who kept them. Not someone who talked about the future, but someone who built it with his own hands. You are and always will be the best thing that ever happened to me. Zachary pulled her close, his arm strong around her shoulders despite his age. That day I knocked on your door, I had no idea I was meeting the love of my life. I just wanted to help someone in need. But the moment I saw you, something in me knew. You were meant to be mine, and I was meant to be yours. They sat in comfortable silence as the stars emerged, the same stars that had witnessed their first kiss by the creek all those years ago. The Lucky Creek Ranch settled into night around them, cattle lowing softly in the distance, horses nickering in the barn, the sounds of home and peace. Emma thought about the scared, betrayed woman she had been at 25, standing in her rented house with an empty lockbox and a broken heart. She wished she could go back and tell that woman not to despair, that the best was yet to come. That losing everything would lead to gaining so much more than she had ever imagined. Thank you, Emma whispered. For what? For being you. For showing me what love really is. For building this life with me. For every day we have had together. Zachary kissed her forehead tenderly. Thank you for taking a chance on me. For trusting again after you had been hurt so badly. For being my partner in everything. You are the strongest, most incredible woman I have ever known, Emma Irwin. They sat together on the porch long into the night, two people who had found each other when both needed it most, who had taken broken pieces and built something beautiful and lasting, who had proven that real love was not just about feeling but about choosing, every single day, to be there for each other. The Lucky Creek Ranch would continue long after they were gone, a testament to what they had built together. But more than the land or the cattle or the buildings, their true legacy was the love they had shared and the family they had raised. It was in every laugh of their grandchildren, every sunset viewed from the porch, every meal shared around the table. Emma had learned that sometimes the worst thing that could happen became the doorway to the best thing. That betrayal and loss could lead to something far better than what had been taken. And most importantly, she had learned what a real man looked like. Not in fancy words or grand promises, but in steady hands and a faithful heart. In someone who showed up, who kept his word, who built a life one day at a time with patience and love. As Emma drifted off to sleep that night in the bed she had shared with Zachary for over 4 decades, her last thoughts were of gratitude. For the journey that had brought her here, for the man sleeping beside her, for the life they had created together from nothing but hope and hard work. The cowboy who had knocked on her door all those years ago had shown her what a real man was, and in doing so he had given her everything she had ever needed or wanted. A partner, a love, a home, a future, a life worth living. And that, Emma thought as sleep claimed her, was worth more than all the savings in the world.